Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Longbox Chronicles Month here on Reaction and Review. Now, in the last episode I said I was taking a look at an animated film tonight, and, well, I didn't really tell you all the details about the character. Before I show you, even though you can already see the title, this character is ridiculously cursed. What I mean is, she made her first appearance in a comic published by Eternity Comics. Eternity Comics is no longer in business. The character then moved over to Chaos Comics. Chaos Comics is no longer in business. This movie was made by ADV. ADV is no longer in business. You can now find the character published in books from Avatar Press. Unfortunately, I believe that Avatar Press is going to be the next victim. Tonight's film is Lady Death, the motion picture. Now, I don't know what to really tell you about this one, guys, because I've only read like one or two Lady Death books, and I could probably count in like one other one because I did read an issue of Evil. It was of Evil, Ernie, where she makes an appearance because she started in Evil Ernie books, if memory serves. Now, I was looking at the credits on the back of that DVD case, and I saw that at least I believe that it was the writing credit. Let me just double check. Yeah, screenplay by Carl Macek. For those of you who don't know who Carl Macek is, I think it'd be easiest to just say that his name is one of the most polarizing in the world of animation. One of the big reasons is he is the man responsible for creating Robotech, as in he took 3 different Japanese shows, he shamelessly stitched all 3 of them together, and that's really pissed off fans, especially of Macross, because apparently they feel that they get the short end of the stick, even though those are really the only episodes of Robotech anyone ever bothers to actually remember. Why? Because the other 2/3 of, well, actually, it wasn't even 2/3, it was like the other half of the show wasn't that good. So, anyway, he wrote the script for this, and I don't really know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because, well, again, he actually did put out some somewhat decent work back in the 80s, but most of that was just rewriting scripts for anime. I don't know how he's going to do when he has to write something based on a story from the creator of the comic. Yes, believe it or not, he actually got story credit, and I would love to try to pronounce his name, but for some reason I almost fear I would completely butcher it. I think it's Brian Pulido, but I'm not sure. But there we go, right? Now, right there was my attempt at it. And, yeah, so I'm going to see if this thing is any good, and I'm going to see if my $7 I spent on this was actually money well spent. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Lady Death, the motion picture. Oh, God. Oh, shit. Guys, we're barely into this thing. I can tell you right now, this dialogue really fucking sucks. However, with that said, that means it has all the trappings of something written by Carl fucking Macek. So hey, at least I know that the credits were in fucking line. He actually had a hand in writing this shit. This guy's name is Cremator. That almost sounds like the name of a really shitty He-Man character. I am Cremator. I burn people. God, that joke was shit. And yet still, it's better than anything I've heard writing-wise in this thing. Wow. Guys, I just kind of feel like mentioning this right now just because this movie's really not giving me a whole lot to actually talk about. I really hope that the comic books were at least better than this, because again, I only read like 2 of them years and years back, and they weren't too bad. They also weren't, that good either. I'm kind of hoping that as a whole, the Lady Death books were better than this. This is just, god damn it, why? You know, folks, normally when I think of Lucifer, I kind of like to think, especially when Lucifer is the villain, I like to think of him as hopefully being kind of threatening. No, Lucifer is in no way threatening in this. Okay, yeah, he's big, he's bulky, he has these massive horns, but he's not threatening. It's probably because the voice actor sucks. Listen to this shit. Even that forced laugh is god awful. I swear to God, this dialogue is getting worse with every passing second. I cannot begin to explain how much I hate this, but I'm gonna have to when the fucking thing's done. So wow. So that was the final fight, huh? That was the big final battle. The that I no, that fucking sucked. Where the hell is the effort here, man? Thank you, God. Alright. Let me shut this off. This is just beginning to depress me a lot. Alright. Let's talk about the movie, shall we? Let's discuss Lady Death, the motion picture. Again, I need to say, I really haven't read a whole lot of Lady Death comics, so I don't know what to completely expect from this. Or actually, I didn't know what to expect going in. But I guess I was expecting better, because the 2 or 3 books I read, the 2 or 3 issues, I should say, were actually somewhat interesting. I mean, I actually was kind of interested in going out and looking for the other books. I never did, but still, the interest was kind of there. But after watching this thing, just, good God, what the fuck happened? I mean, I know I could just be really cheap about it and just blame everything on the writer, but I can't. Because there's no way that Carl fucking Masick is 100% to blame for this. No, there's no way. So, let's start with the animation, shall we? Before I jump into everything else, I want to talk about the animation, because I guess I was hoping for the animation to be good. No, the animation is flat. The animation is lifeless. It is the same kind of cheap, horrible-looking animation you saw on syndicated television in the mid-90s from shows like Mutant League and King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. It basically is that kind of cheap, shitty animation, only with much, much more blood. That really is the only difference. And, you know, I could probably let all of that slide, because you know what, because those 2 shows I mentioned, they actually are kind of watchable, because the writing is almost fucking laughably stupid and the voice acting is halfway decent. Lady Death doesn't have either of those. Lady Death has some of the worst writing I've ever seen, partially because the dialogue is just so hackneyed and forced that I really do not care for any of these characters at all. I have no love for any character I saw in this film. I do not care about Lady Death. I don't care about Lucifer. I didn't care about Pagan. I didn't care about Cremator. I am going to cover his name in just a minute, because there's a little bit of an issue with that. I didn't care about any of them. I didn't. Why? Because there was no depth put into it in terms of the writing. The pacing was also kind of an issue, but that actually is because they tried to take a story that might have been decent as like a 90-minute film. I would even go as far as to say maybe a 2-hour flick. And they tried to shoehorn everything into under 80 minutes, and that doesn't work. It really doesn't. This thing could really have used a little bit of extra time just to kind of flesh out our characters and to give us a reason to actually care about what we're seeing. Now, let's talk about the acting, shall we? The acting in this film varies from kind of shitty to really shitty. You're just going to have to take your pick. There is no good acting to be found in this thing. I mentioned a character. I've already said his name twice. It is Cremator. I'm going to continue to call him that because that is how the character himself introduced himself the first time we see him. His name is only said 2 other times in the entire film, and they're both said by Lady Death, and she just calls him Cremator, which tells me that somebody fucked up somewhere as to how to pronounce his name. But I am going to trust the character himself. So I'm going to just pretend that he used to be at one point a fucking Undertaker in frickin' Eternia, because there is no other explanation. Everybody else is acting. It's just lazily phoned in. There really is nobody here who cares, and the few people who are trying to ham it up, it just feels so out of place when every other actor is turning in this wooden, lifeless, pointless showing that it's just, I'm still trying to figure out why the fuck this thing was made in the first place, because it's pretty obvious nobody cared, because we have horrible writing, we have shitty animation, we have phoned in voice acting. I'm wondering why in the hell fucking DV even decided to put this thing out. And I really don't want to make, assumptions, but I think that it was stuff like this which led to the company going out of business, is that they were pumping out crap like this. And it's like, good God, I really wanted to like this movie. I really, really did. Partially because, well, it's Lady Death, and Lady Death is someone I never thought would actually get a movie of any sort, and now after seeing this, I kind of wish that she hadn't. It also is making me a little bit iffy about other characters who were at one point from Chaos Comics who I'd like to see in movies. I would love to see somebody try to make a fucking evil Ernie movie, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I really don't. Frankly, I spent $6 on this fucking thing, and that's $6 I'm never going to see again. And frankly, it makes me kind of sad. Now, I get to move forward with this. I get to try to do something better. I get to try to salvage something out of these last 2 episodes this month. And frankly, out of the 2, I'm really only interested in one. And the one I'm interested in is the one that everyone says sucks. The one that everyone says is pretty good has a fucking premise which I think looks stupid as hell, but I'm going to cover that when I get to that one episode in particular. So, with that, folks, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.